What if the real reason you keep making the same mistakes isn't weakness or lack of discipline, but something much more hidden and silent inside your mind? The answer to this question could shift how you approach every decision you make, and we'll reveal it together at the end of this video. We like to believe we are in control, that every decision we make is a conscious one, rooted in logic, strategy, or personal values. But the truth is, most of our mistakes are not isolated incidents. They are patterns. Repeating loops dressed up as bad luck, just how I am, or it happened again. We say things like, next time I'll do better, but next time becomes another version of the same mistake, wrapped in a different excuse. The Stoics knew that the human mind is a battlefield, and the first enemy isn't the outside world, it's the noise inside. When you repeat a mistake, it's rarely because you don't know what to do. It's usually because you're not paying close enough attention to yourself. You might be moving too fast. You might be avoiding silence. You might be afraid of confronting the truth about why you're really acting the way you are. In Stoicism, self-observation is sacred. Without it, you are a puppet to your patterns, reacting instead of reflecting, caught in loops instead of rising above them. One of the most common patterns we repeat is self-deception. We convince ourselves that this time is different, that we're stronger now, even though we haven't done the inner work to justify that belief. We tell ourselves stories that protect our comfort zones and defend our impulses. But a Stoic doesn't cling to comfort. A Stoic seeks clarity. And clarity only comes when you are brave enough to see your own contradictions without flinching. Ask yourself this: what mistake have you repeated more than once in the last year? Is it trusting the wrong person? Saying yes when you mean no? Procrastinating when you promised you'd start? Ignoring your intuition even though it screamed at you? These are not random. These are symptoms of something deeper, a belief system, a fear, a wound that hasn't been addressed. The Stoics urge us not to moralize our failures, but to dissect them, not with shame, but with honesty. Every repeated mistake is a teacher disguised as frustration, and every pattern you break becomes a piece of your freedom. But here's where silence comes in, because real reflection requires stillness. The mind that is always stimulated never has time to listen. And if you can't hear yourself, how can you change yourself? The Stoic knows the power of sitting in quiet and asking, why do I really do this? The answer won't come immediately. It won't always be pretty, but it will come. And when it does, it becomes the light that exposes the pattern. We also repeat mistakes because we're afraid of what we'll have to lose if we stop. That relationship that hurts you might also be your comfort. That habit that wastes your time might also protect you from confronting a bigger fear. The mistake isn't just something you do. It's something that, in some twisted way, you've come to rely on. The Stoic trains to detach not just from things, but from false identities. If you believe, I'm just someone who always fails at this, you will protect that identity, even if it hurts you. Letting go of the mistake also means letting go of the version of you who keeps making it. That requires strength and silence. It requires a space where you are not performing for the world but facing yourself. The second reason we repeat mistakes is because we are surrounded by noise, external and internal, that drowns out the quiet voice of reason. We're too distracted to think deeply, to anticipate consequences, or to recall lessons we've already learned. A Stoic doesn't just react, they prepare. And preparation requires foresight. It requires slowing down long enough to say, what happened last time I was in this situation? But most of us never pause long enough to even ask the question. Some people wear their repeated mistakes like a badge of identity. That's just who I am. But the Stoic doesn't accept this. The Stoic believes that who you are is who you choose to become, not who you've been told you are. And if your history is filled with mistakes, that is not your fate, it is your foundation. But only if you're willing to learn. Only if you're willing to stop making excuses. Only if you're ready to stand still, breathe deeply, and finally listen to what your past is trying to teach you. And maybe the hardest truth, we sometimes repeat mistakes because they feed a part of us we haven't outgrown yet. The drama, the thrill, the temporary satisfaction, they serve something primitive in us. But the Stoic life isn't about being primitive. It's about being deliberate. It's about saying, I've tasted this pain enough times to know it's not worth the high. That kind of wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you never sit in silence, you'll never hear it. Now, let's return to the question that opened this journey. What if the real reason you keep making the same mistakes isn't weakness or lack of discipline, but something much more hidden and silent inside your mind? The answer is this: most repeated mistakes are not about weakness. They're about unexamined patterns. They're about mental noise. They're about emotional clutter. And until you learn to sit quietly, to watch yourself honestly, to remove the layers of excuses, the mistake will not stop repeating. It will just change shape. So what do? You stop running. You stop numbing. You stop blaming. And you start listening. You begin the silent work of breaking the cycle. You create moments in your day where reflection becomes a habit, not a reaction. You journal. You walk without your phone. You question yourself, not to punish, but to understand. You forgive your past self, but you hold your present self accountable. And most importantly, you stop giving energy to the version of you who chooses chaos. This is the silent power of Stoicism. It does not promise a life without mistakes. It offers the awareness to stop repeating them. It invites you into stillness, not to escape the world, but to finally see it clearly, to see yourself clearly. And when you do, you'll find that the loop can be broken, not through noise or force, but through quiet observation, disciplined reflection, and the daily choice to be better than your yesterday. That is how you break the cycle. That is how you rise. That is the Stoic way.